We got an offshore day coming up with none other than... What do you gotta say, Nick? I'm good. Happy 4th of July, everyone. The video will be aired after 4th of July, but we're out here on 4th of July, and our mission today is to eat this entire bag of 4th of July themed Swedish fish with Nick and Sean. Nick says he can throw this bag down by himself. You ready, Nick? What are we going for today?
Mangrove.
Mangroves. I already got one. I shot one. I'm gonna show you that clip now.
So this video does not have a lot of filler footage, we'll call it. We're going strictly to diving. Almost all the video is going to be underwater, and this is free diving. I've gone over this in many of my videos, but in case you're new, free diving is where you're holding your breath. There's no air tanks. So basically at the surface, took a big breath of air, and now I'm holding my breath and swimming down. As usual, the water up top's pretty clean, and I spotted a big school of mangrove snapper. Typically, if I go really slow, they will turn towards me and come towards me just like this, giving me a perfect broadside shot. I picked out the biggest one that gave me a good shot and immediately started ripping on the fish because there's always sharks around. We're always dealing with bull sharks and sandbar sharks. Occasionally we'll get some other sharks, which you'll see later in the video. There's a little bit of foreshadowing there maybe, but there's a couple bull sharks coming up. But a solid 10, 11, 12 pound mangrove. These are big mangroves, a lot bigger than you see in a lot of other places. And that's what we're looking for here, big mangroves today. As soon as I landed the fish, I got the spear pointing out, kind of to defend off a shark if I needed to. Then I grabbed my dive knife. It's that new sword dive knife that I've been using, really like that, to brain the fish. It makes it safer for me, kills the fish faster, and that's our first kill of the day. Solid mangrove snapper.
Oh, first one of the day.
Beast.
Go on.
Now keep in mind, this was before red snapper season opened, so while there's tons of big red snapper around, I'm not spearing them. I did come back to these spots, and you'll see that in later videos, but I'm just looking for big mangroves. And here's Nick stretched out, lining up his first shot of the day, and he will go ahead and get himself the first mangrove for him.
Good job, Nicky. Let it eat, you got a dolphin on.
John was fishing and the dolphin went for it, but then it spit the bait and a bonita ate it. So then the dolphin was fair game. Swam up to the surface, I lined up a shot, and it's not a big dolphin by any means. I think it was 24 inches. But that's tacos for the night right there. Got a nice little dolphin secured, and we're going to pull him on in. This clip you're about to see is kind of like my normal diving technique, which differs a lot from the way a lot of people dive for snapper. Usually, you go down to the bottom, you try to stay still, you scratch around, you make some commotion to attract fish, and they come in. Here, I use more blue water techniques. I'm going down 30, 40 feet or so, and I'm just going really slow. It might be a minute and a half long dive, but it's not deep. And that's because of the way I dive in the area I'm in. A lot of times the fish are mid-water. So I wait for the broadside shot, and I let it fly. Another massive mangrove snapper. Again, probably a 12-pound fish. I don't know the weights of the fish individually usually, because we end up weighing them in a big pile at the end of the day. But that was a really big one. As I brought this one up, I wanted to get my hand on the spear. And I think I didn't have a wetsuit on here, actually. So it's kind of a little tricky, because you got to watch those spikes. I was trying to grab them, and it took me a little longer, and a bull shark came in. So I grabbed my spear once I saw that to kind of fend him off if need be. And he had a couple cobias with him, but they were a little small. But it was a little too curious. I didn't like that, and it's because I couldn't get that fish in fast enough is why I think he came up. So we're going again. This spot is, I believe, 75 foot, or I think it's 75 on the high, 90 on the bottom. There's a big crack right there. And I'm just really taking my time going down. I see some amberjacks. That one actually spooked me a little bit, just the way he was swimming in. I didn't know what it was at first. And I'm not looking for jacks. Basically, a 30-pound amberjack is worth about the same amount of money as a 12-pound mangrove. and the mangrove is a lot easier to handle. So if I'm going to have to carry a lot of fish, I'm going to pick the mangroves. They're worth a lot more money per pound. But I am a sucker for these amberjacks, and I didn't get a shot on a mangrove this dive. I was kind of too distracted, never picked one out. But this jack lined up for a nice El Rolo. Front flip. They don't do too many front flips, but that was a pretty cool one. Came back alive though. Wasn't really dead. It was pretty easy to land though. He didn't really fight hard. Pulled him right to the surface, put the knife in him, and that was it for that amberjack. Now, I shot that amberjack just now, but we're not looking for amberjacks. So even though there's a lot of amberjacks around in this clip and it would have been really easy, it's kind of what I was talking about before. 30-pound amberjack, 12-pound mangrove, worth about the same amount of money. It's not to my advantage to get the 40-pound fish or 30-pound fish. That's hard to handle and takes up a lot more cooler space. So I'm dropping down here. Me and Nick actually started to go down at the same time. I think he saw me and then kind of backed off or something. But red snapper up top. Again, we can't shoot reds. Season's not open yet. So I'm going to keep working my way down, hoping mangrove comes up. And right there, I see the mangrove nosing up at me. So I'm just going to coast. I knew I hit that one solid, and this one was really strong. It was a strong fish, had a lot of fight. It was bigger than I thought it was. I thought it was probably like a 6 or 8 pounder, and again, it was another 10, 12 pound mangrove. I don't think we shot a single fish under 10 pounds on this day. They were all really good fish, and when you do that, it doesn't take long to get 100 pounds of mangroves. So Nick's there backing me up at the surface. I'm pulling on this thing, and it's just, I got a solid shot on it, but it's just pulling hard. It's just not a wounding shot, I guess you would say. So I'm trying to get him up as fast as I can and hit him with the knife. Got him good with that sword knife. Lights out on the fish, and that will be another mangrove going in the box. There's another look at that big mangrove snapper. Now, I want to take a moment and talk about the gear I'm using. You can see the fins right there. These are my Florida Freedivers blades. And I use Florida Freedivers for all my gear. I go in there since, I don't know, 20 years, something like that. Check out Florida Freedivers. And the gun I'm using is a Koah 120 Euro. Koah Spearfishing makes phenomenal guns. I've had this gun for the better part of 8 years, I guess. And it has put a lot of fish in the boat. So right now what's going on is Nick just pulled up a snapper. I didn't get it on video. But about a 12-pound snapper again, and a big cubera was eyeing it up the whole way up, like it wanted to eat it. Nick said it was like a 60, 70-pound cubera. So I'm dropping down a little bit deeper this dive, and I kept thinking I would see the cubera, but it was red snapper here, red snapper there. I just see a nose coming in, and it was not the cubera. I made it down towards the crack, but I just couldn't see anything down there. The water was too dirty. So I started heading back up to the top, and then here we have another dive. Same spot, red snappers all around. There's some mangroves, just trying to go real slow and work my way up to the mangrove snapper, and hopefully they'll give me a shot, which this guy did. But he had matrix reflexes. Check out how this fish just dodged the spear. Didn't even hit him. Fish went away. Then Nick gets a shot at one. He hit that fish while it was moving pretty quickly. I'd say that's a pretty good shot, and he's going to go ahead and pull his fish up. So it's all mangrove snappers. I mean, we got that one AJ, but big. I mean, look at the size of them. Giant mangroves. Now, Nick's swimming down on a school of mangrove snapper, and I think he could have got a shot off on him, but you're about to see why he didn't. Because I see the mangroves and I'm swimming down for the same thing, but then I see what he saw, and I decided not to shoot him either. Now, I dive with sharks all the time. Bulls and sandbars are the normal culprits, but this is a lemon shark. I don't see many lemon sharks at all. Now, lemon sharks can definitely be a problem when spearfishing. They're so fast, and so, I mean, just how fast they spin around. You don't see a bull do that, almost spin a 180 in that small of an area. Bulls don't do that. Sandbars don't really do that. But there's a massive grouper. Different clip. Switching over to this. I decided not to shoot the mangrove because of the lemon shark. But we had this big gag come up, and grouper season's closed, and this was a massive grouper. Just kind of eyeing up the chum. It happened twice this day in 2 different spots. The gags are out there. Season's closed, and they know it. So that was kind of cool to see. He's still there. He hung around for a couple minutes, really, in the chum. Then we got another big old pile of fish down there. Anytime we see the life, whether it's blue runners or jacks or mangroves or reds, just I like to be around wherever the life is, and we're just gonna drop on down, try to get one more big mangrove for the day, and that could be it. Point the gun out, take a little bit of a longer shot, but I hit them good, and I know I can just rip them on up. And of course there'll probably be sharks around, so that's why I like to pull a fish into me as fast as possible. Again, I got Nick diving on the surface with me, so we're doing the buddy diving thing, and I call these good holding shots right behind the gill plate or through the gill plate, and they're not going to come off. And this was one of the smaller ones of the day. I think this one was probably like 6 or 8 pounds, so definitely got one smaller fish. I forgot about that one, but that'll be a nice one to finish us off.